I've written a thing today because I had a lot of emotions this morning when I got up and realised the day, and I just needed to get out some emotions, so I wrote a thing. So, I've titled this 1 year on. Hi, Sparlin. So, I'm probably gonna cry. I'm gonna try not to. So, in the interest of inclusion, because I know a lot of people might not know the full story, I'll start from the very beginning. I've always wanted to make videos and for people to enjoy them. Even when I was 15, with dreams of becoming an actress one day, teaching myself Windows Movie Maker to make dramatic slideshows from family holiday photographs, I think I always knew that I'd end up in entertainment, whether it be behind the camera or in front of it. I ended up in Newcastle thanks to my then boyfriend, now husband, landing a stellar graduate job at a design studio down here, and I was desperate to move out of my parents' house and start a new life somewhere exciting. What I never anticipated was the loneliness that came with that. I am 2 parts introvert, but 8 parts extrovert, and sitting in an empty flat in a new city all day when Mike was at working, even with my own illustration work to keep me busy, was just not enough for me. So I put aside my art and I took up what I thought would be a temporary job in retail, working with my biggest passion in life, and that was gaming. I worked at Game over Christmas, and like most things I set my mind to, just tooting my own trumpet there, I hecking aced it. I excelled in sales and customer interactions, and the store decided to keep me on as permanent staff. I was just so happy to have work friends with similar interests as me, and it's thanks to Game that I met amazing friends like Nikki and Fraser. The years passed, and other than being extremely poor and growing to loathe the Christmas period, thanks to, obviously retail beating that out of me, working at Game was a great time. Our little store closed to make way for a huge new store in the heart of Gateshead's Metro Centre, and it was glorious. I loved it. This big new store attracted the attention of Microsoft, specifically their UK Xbox Evangelists team. They approached my store in particular and invited us to take part in an experiment that would change my life forever. I'm being very dramatic here, I love writing. Inside my store, we built a huge enclosed rig, kitted out with a powerful PC, Xbox One and top-end streaming equipment, and it became part of my job to sit for 2 hours a shift playing the latest game releases, talking about them, their price, and various game services that we could provide alongside purchases. I fell in love with streaming, deeper than I've ever fallen in love with any other hobby before. It combined my 2 favourite things, gaming and entertaining, and it wasn't long before I had started my own personal Twitch channel. Alright, Twitch! I've lost my place. My own personal Twitch channel that I built on in my own time outside of work. I dabbled for a while, but on March the 1st, 2017, I decided to start taking it seriously. I rebranded, and Don't Rage Quit was born. Eventually, I grew tired of corporate heads being unwilling to invest in what I knew was such a powerful platform, and I moved on from Game. I'd been working freelance for a small wedding video company as an editor, building on my editing skills for about a year, and I planned to focus on self-employment full-time. Picking up any freelance editing I could get, while streaming at home to earn a little bit more rent money. Hilariously, now that I think about it, almost as soon as I left my job at Game, my work at this wedding studio instantly dried up. But I wasn't worried. I planned to have a nice relaxing Christmas at home with my family for the first time in 3 years, without retail hanging over me. Then again, another opportunity landed on my lap by some stroke of destiny. A friend had been listening to me stressing about work when he passed on an ad that he had seen from his favourite wrestling YouTube channel, saying that they were looking for editors. I actually dismissed it, thinking I was really not a wrestly person in the slightest. But good old Tony, he pushed me, saying that they had a crack in gaming and a movie channel too, as well as wrestling, and that I should totally get in there with editing and try and apply for presenting too. It all seemed too good to be true, and really, it was. When I applied for Whatculture, I put my entire life into that application. My only relevant experience was with streaming, so I compiled a few fun clips from my streams to show them my capabilities with media, and also showed them my edited highlight reels from the game streams, as well as my work with the wedding videos. During the interview, I explained that streaming gave me a lot of confidence and knowledge of the industry, and I would love to join the presenting team eventually, as well as editing. I received a brief for a test edit, and it took a lot of work for me, a mostly self-taught editor, to adapt to their style. But they stuck with me, and I with them, against my uncle's judgment. Bin them, Bob says, they're stringing you along, he says. I almost didn't go for it. And eventually, after a couple of very slow months, many back and forths, 2 test edits, and a lot of help from Rich. Thank you for believing in me, Rich. On the 1st of February 2018, I started my dream job as a video editor for Whatculture Gaming. A full-time office position with my own workstation, salary, equipment, in a team full of the coolest people I had ever met. I am not understating when I say that this was the best and my most favourite job I've ever had. Sure, editing top 10 lists got pretty boring pretty fast, and I had a good number of games that I'd never played before spoiled for me. But I learned so much during my time there that it really is mind-blowing when I reflect on it. Within a month of working there, I had convinced Daddy Jules to help me with my first written video and to present it together. And of course it was about Dark Souls. I was pretty determined to be the Dark Souls person, I pitched an idea to Jules and the rest of the team, and it became Chatty Faces, also my genius naming skills, if I may brag, which actually became our most successful series on the channel. 2 months later, literally, I started in February, and then again in May, Rich and I got the chance to travel to frickin' Los Angeles to try out Kingdom Hearts 3. We got to be some of the first people to play the game in the entire world, make videos about it, and we even got sent on a tour of Walt Disney frickin' Animation Studios. They pointed to a building and said, yeah, they're making Frozen 2 in there, and I did a little wee. This trip is probably what brought Rich and I closer, if I think about it. And finally beating him at Mario Kart on the flight over was another personal life goal smashed, as well as singing along to The Greatest Showman together. He's my kind of nerd, It didn't take Rich long after my constant chatting about how well my Twitch streams were going to start up a channel of his own. He was my Twitch bitch, and it was just the best. We were working hard for Whatculture by day and going it alone on Twitch by night. It was an exhausting routine, and I have no idea how I managed 45 hours a week in the office and then another 9 hours streaming and planning a wedding at the same time. But I had plenty of emotional support, not just from Rich. Ash, Jules, Oz, Scott, everyone looked out for one another and supported me when things got tough. Because, yeah, quite often things were tough. I do not hide that I am quite an emotional person, and I'm not afraid to admit that the job really got to me. I've always had underlying mental health issues, but what really brought them to the surface was this job. I struggled with my bosses sometimes, feeling unappreciated, underpaid, undervalued, singled out, and not taken seriously. I struggled even more with our audience, taking every comment about my weight, my accent, my gender, straight to heart. Cutting out the huge majority of people who were supportive and kind, and sometimes focusing solely on that one guy who said that my voice should be used as weaponized erectile dysfunction. I remember that one in particular because it's actually quite funny. What really helped me get through all this was streaming. I never kept my hobby a secret. In fact, I was completely transparent about it, explaining to my bosses how Twitch worked and convincing them to let me set up a Whatculture Twitch channel. This went well for a while, and we eventually decided to move to YouTube streaming. I hope I'm not bigging myself up too much here, but I truly believe that myself, along with Rich, were the reasons why Whatculture Gaming's streaming went so well, and continues to be successful today, barring obviously COVID stuff getting in the way, obviously. Things started to get just a little bit too stressful through 2019. In true Rachel fashion, I had bitten off more than I could chew. I was working hard both in the office and out, and was planning the wedding of my dreams. I had no time to relax. I stopped playing games for fun, and I stopped seeing friends. Because of this, I made the difficult decision to cut back on streaming, and I went to a measly 2 days a week. 3 hours each, on Twitch. Obviously this affected my metrics somewhat. I had dreams of becoming a Twitch partner one day, and this was not the way to do it. However, it really helped with my mental health and allowed me to focus more on my job as well, which was paying for the best day of my life coming up in October. Mike and my wedding was perfect. I know everyone says their wedding was perfect, but my wedding, right, was flippin' perfect. Absolutely heckin' perfect. We honeymooned in Iceland, which I can't recommend enough, provided you bring along a hefty grand worth of spending money. Big yikes. After just under a week off work, I think it was like 6 days I had off work, something like that, it was mental, I was right back there again, and the following weekend we were then off to EGX in London. 4 of us worked solid for 2 days trying to provide coverage on a bunch of great games being showcased prior to release, and I was just on top of the world with excitement. A spooky, scary gentleman presenting his live-action video game that we sat in the audience watching suddenly stopped in our row, recognising Jules, and that just blew my frickin' mind, man. I was so proud that our reach was so huge and that so many people enjoyed our work, now that we had over 1 million subscribers. People kept stopping us at EGX and being like, oh hey, I know you guys, it's so cool. It was just really cool. I don't know if it was the stress of the wedding finally being gone or if it was the red flags after EGX when we were denied expenses for our food and drink during the trip, but something just wasn't sitting right with me after that weekend. I knew my value and I knew the hard work that my team put in day after day, and I was starting to feel like I'd hit a bit of a ceiling with Whatculture. No matter how hard I worked, I'd just be doing the same thing, earning the same wage, never really able to be truly creative there. My Twitch channel was making around 1/3 of what I was making at Whatculture, and I started to wonder if I could maybe balance them both a little more equally, and if that would satisfy my creative needs and my desire to grow my skills and experience. This was the straw, I suppose. Barely a week after I approached my bosses exploring the idea of going part-time, and them reacting openly to it, I may add, I received a cease and desist suddenly demanding that I must stop streaming in my own time if I am to remain in full-time employment there. The only way around it would be to split my Twitch revenue with Whatculture, which I burst out laughing at when they suggested it. What made things worse is that Rich also got the same demands. We were absolutely destroyed. I was heartbroken for myself, but I was more heartbroken for him. How was I supposed to choose between my steady job that I loved, that paid the bills and introduced me to some of the most amazing people I'd ever met, and the hobby that I had been working on for almost 3 years, that very same hobby that literally got me this dream job in the first place? It was an impossible decision, and yet, at the same time, the easiest decision I've ever made. I had taken the only possible route I could have taken, and that was to leave my secure salaried work for a job full of uncertainty, financial struggle, and emotional baggage, and though it was terrifying, it was also really exciting. They had me work 2 weeks' notice, which now that I look back on it, I am such a mug for doing. I cried almost every day and I didn't bother to try and hide it. In fact, I wanted everyone to see it. But I kept editing. Rich felt my pain too, as he had stopped streaming, choosing the opposite to what I had. Before I knew it, the 2 weeks had gone by and that was me. Gone. I didn't get a leaving party. It wasn't announced on the channel. I didn't even get a card. Almost 2 years of putting my heart, soul and tears into that job, and I was forced out of the door over the $300 a month that I made in my spare time. I felt absolutely worthless. And yet I was in mourning. I was really at my lowest of low, and my usual attempts to stay positive were trampled every time I opened a YouTube and I saw my friends' faces staring back at me, without me there. I had the option to do some freelance work for them for quite a low pay, and I was doing it, letting them pay me scraps for my work because I was so desperate to remain a part of this team that I loved with all my heart. But the freelance didn't last long. It was too painful. I knew my own value and my grudge was too strong. That's where the sads stop, okay? Today, a year on, I am leaving the sads behind. It happened, as wise old Rafiki would say, it doesn't matter, it's in the past. As hard as all this was, it was probably the best thing to ever happen to me. December started off quite exciting. I had all this free time and I could do whatever I wanted with it. My biggest efforts always went into Twitch. We had a cute Christmassy event and tried out a bounty for the first time, which I actually ended up hecking up anyway. However, now that I was going it alone, I knew that I would need other revenue sources other than just Twitch. I had finally hit my 75 average viewers that I needed to apply for partnership, but my application was declined. with a generic response and no reasons why not. I got back on the horse swiftly and I started putting much more effort into YouTube, churning out an entire series of Death Stranding before the new year hit. I got time off at Christmas once again and it was so lovely to see all my family supporting me. They had all watched my content for years and they believed that I could make it work. January came, and with it, my Patreon! I had no idea what I was doing, nor what my efforts were worth, but it was met with such an amazing launch that I kept at it, expanding it throughout the year to come. This month, we also finally finished killing every single boss in Dark Souls using only one hand, a challenge that we had unlocked during last year's charity streams. It had been a long journey, but we finally did do it, every single boss. At the end of January, This is a hard bit. This is a hard bit. I'm just going to say it really fast. At the end of January, we had to say goodbye to Mike's wee granny. It was so sudden, but it was so peaceful. We had a lovely funeral service, and then afterwards, we spent the time looking through old family photos in our living room. I'm sorry. Selfishly, sitting there on that couch, I was reflecting on myself. Life is too short. And sometimes it takes a death in the family for you to realise that. Oh. That very day of her funeral, I had made up my mind that I was going to adopt a dog. I'd become lonely in the house by myself once again, self-employed, and overcome with thoughts of carpe diem, and just became obsessed with this idea of getting a little dog to take my mind off constantly mourning Whatculture. I loved content creation, but it's all I had. I needed something else to keep me grounded and to stop me working from 8 AM to 11 PM every single day. On February the 9th, we adopted little baby Evie, the tiniest little fox I'd ever seen. It was love at first sight. To say that we were wholly unprepared to welcome a puppy into our lives is a massive understatement. We had bought the dog before we had bought a bed, a leash, or anything. But it didn't matter because we were living life and loving it. The honeymoon period with Evie didn't last long, and I was in for a couple months of solid misery as we fought to train her and to learn to live with one another. I decided that I may as well turn the journey into videos, and so I started dog vlogs. These were super regular, weekly in fact, but then gradually as March hit and then we all got locked down due to COVID-19, I lost my enthusiasm for uploading yet another video of Evie just playing in the living room. At the end of February, I opened my emails to the biggest shock of the year. My second application for Twitch partnership had been approved. We got partnered! I had dreamt of this ever since I started streaming and it had finally happened. I couldn't believe it. Twitch thought that we were the real deal at last, and I had a shiny purple check mark to prove it. We partied all day that Friday, and again the day after. My good friend Nikki came over and surprised me with gifts, and she got me a heckin' balloon that lasted about 4 months. That was mental. She helped me look after Evie as we streamed together and celebrated. We had a ridiculously successful subathon, hitting over 1,000 sub points and unlocking 25 emotes for all of my Twitch subs to enjoy. It was just incredible, and I did it on my own, without Whatculture. During March and April, streamers and content creators like me thrived. People were bored, off from work, and looking for someone to keep them company, and I was more than happy to be that person. Whether it was the Twitch partnership or the lockdown, either way, my metrics soared, and we met so many amazing new people and welcomed them into our community. I started a podcast, interviewed a few friends, and was enjoying trying out all these new things. My face is moist. The month of May 2020 was the hardest I have ever worked on anything, ever, I think. And it was for St. Jude's Play Live, a fundraising event lasting the entire month in aid of children's cancer, hospitals and research. We had events for every single stream that month, with the intent of raising money for the charity. I'm so proud of myself and of all of you for the amazing work that we accomplished together. We raised over $35,500 for sick kids that month. Thanks to the milestones reached, we then went on to play through the entirety of Dark Souls 2 using only one hand. I cried when we finally killed Vendrick. At the end of May, I earned a place in the Rage Club, a brand new Twitch team led by my good friend Saria, who is pretty much my twin, but with better eyebrows and better work ethic. It's so cool to be a part of a huge group of people with similar interests as you, who go through the same issues as you when it comes to content creation, and I'm proud to be a part of it. June brought with it my first ever sponsored stream, which again, all of you rallied behind tremendously. I think I've played Raid Shadow Legends almost every day since that stream. Yikes. Summer was when things really started to get tough. It was hitting home that 3 months had passed since lockdown and I still hadn't seen my family. I was stressed with the dog and trying to stay positive and focused on my content, but it was just so difficult. For the first time in my life, motivation eluded me, and I got by for a few months just focusing on streams and then churning out as much YouTube content as I possibly could. In July, we launched Don'tRageQuit.com, my very professionally built website, complete with a functional store where I could sell my stickers, magnets, and pins and help earn a bit more money. This was a huge success and I look forward to building on it further, offering more and more products and shaping it into like a CV so that I can show it off to potential sponsors. I also joined Team Luminary, my third Twitch team, full of kick-ass inspiring ladies to be eternally inspired by, and to look to for advice with streaming and business. We even had our own Christmas cards made this December. In August, we smashed another sponsored stream, and this time dressed as a hecking Viking, so that was super fun. I tried out a position as a host for a stream-based talk show used as marketing for a PC company, which was hugely outside my comfort zone, but was a very good experience working on something different. It was cool to explore another potential road that streaming could take me down one day. In October, things got spooky, and we had a whole month of scary games, jumpy alerts, and prizes for extra generous tippers, and we actually reached enough sub points to unlock 3 new emote slots. Considering that I was only working towards unlocking 1, I say that this was definitely a job well done. Then we had November, where again you all surprised me. We played Demon Souls on PS3 and then again on the PS5, and you all still stuck around. You didn't care that we had played the same game for a whole month or that we randomly streamed World of Warcraft one day for the Shadowlands launch. You were just happy that I was happy, and oh my god, did that make me so flippin' happy. I'm so grateful that I'm in a position where I can just showcase whatever games I want and everyone is happy to join in regardless. We just hit over 9,000 followers and I am coming for you, 10k. Now here we are. It's December 2nd once again, and it's been a whole year of being a full-time Twitch streamer and content creator. Self-doubt, imposter syndrome, and anxiety have been my close companions all year, but so has pride. Job satisfaction and friendship. It's been a tough year for us all, full of uncertainty, and I'm proud to say that we've risen above it together. I plan to continue working hard and trying new things and constantly striving to make my content the best that it can be. Because at the end of the day, I'm here because of you. I wouldn't have been able to leave my secure job confidently if it hadn't been for you. So I'd like to end this with a thank you. A great big thank-you-ist of thank yous. Thank you for letting me entertain you, to distract you when times are tough, to make you smile when you are sad, and to welcome you into this fun and supportive community that we have built together. Cheers. Here's to another year of Don't Rage Quit. I toast my water to you. Oh, can I let it out now? So I wrote that for you. Well, I wrote it for both of us. I actually found it really cathartic writing it. It just kept going. It just kept typing. I was like, I'm going to start from the very beginning. All right, Rachel, as your boss, it is time for your annual review. Now, you've been here a year, and these are just a formality that we're going to do every year. So, employee name, right. Rach. Department, content creation. Job title here, it says influencer, Twitch partner, YouTuber, and puppy parent. At what part do you think puppy parent is a viable job title? It can't be that difficult, surely. I have here that your current responsibilities are streaming 4 times a week, YouTube videos irregularly, fulfill Patreon rewards, and take care of Evie the Pomsky. Well, you're doing those just fine, especially the irregularity part. Your performance assessment, I'm going to put down overall positive with room for improvement, as always. Communication, average at best. Often forgets the conversation that she was having 10 seconds ago. Collaboration and teamwork, dreadful. Murdered everyone in the Skeld last week during Josh's birthday stream. However, did organise many successful co-streams throughout the year. Below average. Problem solving, comparable to a 6-year-old during most games, except Dark Souls, which you play way too much to help hide the fact that you're dreadful at all other games. Quality and accuracy of work. People said that they'd watch you watch paint dry, so you're probably doing something alright. Attendance and punctuality. Reliably unreliable. How hard is it to start bang on 8 PM? Why is it always 8:04? I don't care if Evie was looking cute and needed pets. Oh, my lights are going off. Dark Lamba, I'll get to you in a moment. Goals and deadlines. Absolutely heckin' smashed them, mate. Right, now your future expectations. Now just try to keep a roof over your head, dear. Playing video games is not a real job. Not to mention that girls neither play video games nor exist on the internet, so you're 0 out of 2 there, sweetie. Your job is pretty much dead on arrival. Do you even exist? Is this even real life? I don't even wear glasses! That was my silly skit, and I should definitely not leave my job and go into comedy.
We can always help each other. We can lean on one another. Keep trying, you can do it. Don't rage quit.